In this video we're going to look at chromatography. So chromatography is used to separate components of a mixture. The two types of chromatography that we need to look at both involve a stationary phase and a mobile phase. So a stationary phase is basically something that doesn't move, and a mobile phase is something that does move. And like I've just said, two types of chromatography. We're focusing on thin layer chromatography, or TLC for short, and we're looking at gas chromatography as well, and that's GC for short. So the classic chromatography experiment is paper chromatography, where you'd take something like a black pen and you would run a paper chromatogram of that, and you would see that it's actually made up from a variety of different coloured inks. So I've got the red pen there, and the blue pen and the green pen. So chromatography allows us to separate these separate colours that actually make up this colour that we see, the black colour. So we're going to focus on, well, what is it about these different colours that allows this separation to take place? So before we go into the two types of chromatography that we study at A level, we'll just use these pens to try and model what's happening in both types of chromatography. So we've just said that our black ink is actually a mixture of these three red, blue and green inks. So if I take that off, you can see here I've written down we've got the stationary phase. So remember, that's the phase that doesn't move, and that would typically be mounted on a solid support. So that would need to be inert. So in other words, it doesn't react, it doesn't interfere with anything in the experiment, in the mixture. So we've got this stationary phase, and I'll go into what this could be when I look at each individual type of chromatography. So the mobile phase, the job of that is to move these components through the experiment, if you like. Now, the thing you need to appreciate is all the time these components in the mixture are interacting with the stationary phase. So the more they interact with this stationary phase, then the more difficult the mobile phase is going to find it to move the components. So just for argument's sake, let's suppose that the green ink interacted really strongly with this stationary phase. That means that the mobile phase is going to struggle to take it up the through the experiment. And let's suppose the red ink had a very weak interaction with this stationary phase. That means the mobile phase will carry it much further. And let's just leave the blue there. So that's saying that the blue interacts less strongly than the green, but more strongly than the red. So by the different interactions between the ink or the components and the stationary phase, we've allowed separation to take place.